Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ask the Experts. I am your host, Candy Martin, and this is our Financial Friday edition. I have a special guest on with me today. Don't worry, I am going to introduce him properly, and then we'll get started. So I wanted to, right before we got started, is to remind you that we are a division of Martin Business Solution, and we come to you to share information to get different perspectives in and about in the financial industry. And so we are so glad that you have taken the time to join us on today. So don't forget to like, share, and comment on whatever platform you're on. And we always love people to press that follow button and the alert bell. So we are going to get started right away into this presentation. I am going to bring on a business partner, friend, and someone I'm very proud of. And so I'm going to do that in just a second. Let me get everything situated the way that I want it. You know how you all know me if you've been following me any length of time. I am newly certified in technology, so I ask you for your continued grace as I navigate technology. All right, so I have my business partner and friend joining us today. We are going to be talking about the cost of servitude in the United States. Will you receive a return on your investment? All right, and so our guest speaker for today is going to be Rob Jackson, U.S. Navy veteran. He is a father, soon to be husband. So, ladies, he's off the market. He's an East Coast native, Florida resident. I love Florida. One of my favorite places to visit is Destin, Florida. And I've been all over the world, and it is still one of my favorite places to visit. Rob is currently in the Jacksonville area. He loves to travel. Who doesn't? Come on. But in order to love to travel, you got to have some money to do it. So don't worry, we're going to talk about that. And he is on a mission to eradicate financial illiteracy. So I am definitely wanting to hear more about that. So on today's episode, it is presented by the AK Lakers Foundation, where we go in and about different communities providing financial literacy, and we also do volunteer service to help your nonprofit achieve its goal. Martin Business Solution, I am the proud owner and operator of that company for the last 26 years. It truly has been a blessing. I am your host, Candy Martin, and remember, the views of this programming may not reflect the views of any MBS, which is Martin Business Solution affiliate, or any other companies that we may represent. This is of our own personal and professional opinions. So before you make any life-changing decisions, make sure that you consult your financial advisor, your mentor, or your higher power. All right. All right, so Rob Jackson, we are going to be interviewing you today. You are in the hot seat here at Ask the Experts. I'm excited to have you. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your service. I personally appreciate your service in the Navy because my grandfather was a Navy man. And so hats off to you. And I am looking forward to this interview.
Andy, thank you. Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. Very blessed, and honored to be in this hot seat. So I'm excited for our conversation today.
All right. So, Rob, I'm going to come back to sharing the screen. So we're going to get right into our interview. So one of my first question is why? I mean, you've served this country. You should be on some island somewhere just not worrying about the rest of us. So tell me, why are you on this mission to eradicate financial illiteracy?
Man, Candy, you see, growing up, I always knew what I wanted to do, right? And I just never knew exactly what that looked like. So growing up, I just always had the same feeling of wanting to serve other people, right? I never knew it would take form, because my ideal career was being a psychologist, right? But due to the fact of, fiscal issues by my parents and life changes on growing up, I realized that dream, wasn't going to happen. So I figured, why not? What's the next best thing? Well, go serve the country, right? So, I did the Navy, joined the Navy, had a great time, right? But I knew that after a couple instances that there was a bigger opportunity to serve the masses on an even deeper level, personal level, especially after going through some things. So it's just really been that feeling of just servitude and making sure taking care of other people. It's been a passion that I couldn't escape the calling. So here I am.
All right, couldn't escape the calling. I love that. Even though we try to run away from them, they tend to follow us, tackle us, and run us down and take us in. So one of the things that, if you've noticed, the country is currently, which is the United States, we're currently, and I am proud to be an American, by the way. So we're in these different spaces on different political views, religious reviews, social reviews. We just kind of, and I've never been one to cause an uproar. So me and my team, and Rob, my guest, we come to you guys today to talk about some potential solutions, some things to look at from a financial perspective. So this will not be a political war. This will not be a tug of war in religion or anything that people have personal views. And it's not because we don't have a stance or don't stand for anything. We just want to come with a lighter light, talking about money. Who doesn't? I mean, I don't care what side of the fence you're on. You need the money, whether you're red or blue, yellow or green. Well, green is actually a pretty good color to be right about now. So,
Beautiful.
so Rob, so when people serve the country,
Mhm.
and I've been in business 20 something years, and I have clients that have served in various branches, all different ages, discharged for various reasons, retired or whatever. And oftentimes when they get to a transition, they assume that everything is buttoned up and taken care of by the military. No need for them to do anything else. They can retire and sit back and relax. And so, but of course, we know that that's not always the case. So, why would a person want to double check to make sure that they're in a position to retire if they're serving the country, meaning that the assumption is the military will pay for everything? They'll write a check and take care of me and my family forever. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes. So, yeah, that's a really great question. So, a lot of times, growing up, I grew up in Hampton Roads, Virginia, right? So it is the largest concentration of military and government work in the United States, right? I think I saw a stat that said 74% of Hampton Roads' economy is either based on government contracting, Department of Defense, or just the military as a whole. So I've heard, a lot of jargon, hey, join the military because they take care of everything, right? The military changed my life, which it has. But the problem is, you know, people say you should join in order to get the benefits, to retirement, the pension, and things like that. But no one really talks about the fact that only 7% of people in the military actually do the full 20 years and earn that pension and retirement, right? So
Oh,
what about those people that transition, right? Some people they transition from, they end up retiring. Some people they just, finish your contract and get out, go do something different, or they'll just go into the government sector. I think it's important to understand what that looks like before you leave, right? Because when you're in the military, you're kind of in a financial bubble, meaning that, most of, if you're living off base or off post, most of your income is not taxable anyways. So you're not paying taxes. You're not, looking at healthcare options for you and your family. You're just protected, right? So understanding your financial landscape before you leave is important. They do a decent job of this at the transition programs, but it's not drilled in your head enough. And they can only give you surface level answers. So that's why I think it's pretty important to understand that and to really work with someone to help you do that.
so if I understand correctly, no matter what position you are in, whether you just enrolled in the military or a government position, or you've been in forever, it's possibly a great time to start talking to a financial educator such as yourself, or someone that we trust, just to double check everything, dot all I's, cross all T's, just to make sure that your financial vision that you have for the future matches up with where you currently are.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes it's that double check that could be the biggest difference. Meaning, you might have sat down with someone, but that could have been years ago, right? Your life has changed, right? Say, for instance, if you were, 18 when your parents drug you down to the advisor's office and you're 18, but now you're 29 with a child, right? So things change all the time, and it's always good to get that second check, right? It's always, important to do so. I mean, it's 2025. Could you imagine, Candy, still using an iPhone 4? Like, do they still sell chargers for those things, So it's always important, dot your I's, cross your T's, stay with someone that's relevant, get that education if you've never got it, right? So it's very important.
I feel a little attacked there when you talked about the old iPhones. Look, let me tell you, I'm not on the bandwagon of updating my phone, but I get it. I get it. The younger generation guys truly do stay up with it, and that's very important. A lot of times we find that people take more care of their phones than they
Yes.
do their finances. And so we're here to shake that up. Thank you for bringing that point out. I mean, we have people and clients and cousins and family members that have insurance on
Hmm.
those phones, but not on their lives. So a bit of a sidebar, whether in the military or not, just a civilian. Do you find that people typically don't want to have the conversation around life insurance?
Man, I'm so glad you asked that question. Yes, right? Because a lot of times, life insurance is a very taboo subject for some people, some demographics of people, because it's either A, something that they don't think about because it brings them to a negative state or a negative emotion, right?
Mm,
It's this preconceived notion of life insurance is means I'm gonna die right now. It's just like, wait a minute, no one said that, right? True life insurance can be utilized while you're living, right? There's so many different types of how it works. I think because of the lack of education in that space, people are just naturally closed off to just even having the conversation, even learning more, right? 'Cause like I mentioned before about the iPhone 4, well, yes, the iPhone 4 was made by Apple, but guess what? Apple has evolved, right? Now they have the iPhone, I think 15 or 16, right? Life
hmm
insurance was the same way. So having that conversation, the evolution of it, understanding where we were to where we are now, and how it can benefit you and your family is it's beneficial. But yes, you're right. So initially, there's a little bit of a skepticism or a fear of just even mentioning it.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, in that same vein, military families or those working for the federal government assume some cases that everything is going to be paid for, even in a transition. When someone transitions, family member passes away. We watch a lot of those movies. I love movies like Top Gun and A Few Good Men, telling my age. I like all those movies, the military movies, and then the guy coming in with the uniform on, and they having the funeral procession, and it's just all glorious. Does everybody get that?
No.
Oh
And
wow.
the reason why I say that, yes, you can, if something were to happen to you, right, especially on active duty, you'll be well taken care of, right? But as a veteran, right, there are resources at the VA, but a lot of them are underfunded, right? So um, I went to a funeral of a veteran that served more than 50 years ago last October, right? And
Hmm.
yes, it was a beautiful, event, but she got a 30-minute slot because that the next family was rolling up right behind us. So yes, the military, they will give you they will give you some kind of benefits, but for some people, it's the basic benefits, right? For what you gave them, right? I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it's okay to ask for a little bit more, right? So that's how I'd answer that question.
Great. Well, I'm free to talk because I wasn't a member of the military. I do advocate for veterans. I do believe in the same vein of teachers, military, a first responder
Mhm.
truly should be more glorified than some other positions. I'm
Absolutely.
not knocking it. However, in order for us, for me personally, to go about and move freely, I've been protected by somebody in the military. I've been educated by a teacher. I've been served by a first responder. So I do have a passion for those positions. And so I can freely say, I believe that they should be more done about it. But in the meantime, until that glorious day comes,
Mhm.
I am advocating for families to just take a look into it to make sure that you and your family are covered. So I want to kind of change it up a little bit, kind of be a little controversial, which is something we don't normally do here on Ask the Expert, but I know that you can handle the challenge.
That's fine.
Being a military guy, you guys are tough, you can handle it. So there have been some surprise layoffs and some surprise um, pink slips being handed out in our current state. Um, and entrepreneurship is something that is near and dear to my heart. So, what would be your advice to someone who is newly unemployed, never been an entrepreneur before? They've always had a good job, or had the safety of being in the military or whatever the case may be, and they have recently found themselves without income coming in, or they are either thinking or waiting to get their pink slip, and they're kind of wondering, like, what would I do if I should get one? So, any advice? Because I do know that you are a full-fledged entrepreneur. You own your own financial agency. You are Rob Jackson, the financial educator. So, what advice would you have for someone in that position?
So the advice that I would have is really to find first things first, find the need, right? Look around and just think about what kind of inconveniences do you face in your life? Because more than likely you're probably not the only one. Right. So that's really where I would start, right? Find a need. Then second thing I would look at is find an industry, right? Finding an industry that hasn't reached a heyday yet, right? Something you can get in, but that's always
Mm-hmm.
expanding, right? Case in point, during the COVID years, right? A lot of people ended up switching, from whatever they were doing, got furloughed, let go in, and they end up in the cybersecurity space, whether that's system admin, cybersecurity, data processing, kind of things like that, right? So ultimately finding an industry that's almost timeless, right? Something that impacts people on a daily, right? That's really a part of why I'm in the financial industry, right? Because learning about money, is timeless, right? We all love making it. Most of us love to spend it, right? So that's where I would start because one of the things that we did see, right? Unfortunately, the landscape of what's going on, things are changing, right? So that's good for some, that's bad for some, right? And everywhere in between. So with that, the traditional, oh, I'm gonna attach myself to this wagon, right? And just gonna ride this thing to retirement. For some that might be a valuable strategy. For others, maybe not, right? So always take action, right? If you can control what you can control, and when it comes to hopping in entrepreneurship, start there. Start with those two things, right? Find the need, then find the industry that best suits you and where you're trying to go.
All right. Well, one thing for sure, any industry that is producing finances is a great industry to be in. As women, we love to shop. We like to buy shoes. We like to buy clothes. We like to buy jewelry. Guys, y'all like to fix on cars, and that's not everybody. We just have different things that we all like to do. But everything that we can think of that we like to do, we need money to do it. Every business we would like to start, we would need to have money to start it. And to me, everything starts there with some form of money, even if it's ministry. If you're called to ministry and you want to start a church, you need some funds to do that. To
Mhm.
volunteer, you need funds to do that. You want to start a daycare, bless your heart, but you need funds to do that. No matter what industry, it circles around finances. So, with that, Rob, why would someone want to go into the financial industry per se?
Well, I think, you know, going into the financial industry, like I said, it's timeless, right? I mean, case in point, I mean, for those who are believers, right? I remember someone told me, right, the Bible has the most verses of whatever subject, right, is related to money, right? It's in the Bible. So it's a problem that we've been having for years, right?
Yeah.
Multiple multiple generations, centuries, years, all the above, really. So, but going to money, I mean, the financial industry is important because a lot of sectors, for those who are minorities, we're underrepresented, right? There's not enough of us, right, to really get into it and really, bring the education inside of it back to our neighborhoods, right? Because learning about money is a life skill, right? It's something that you're constantly it's evolving, like I was mentioning earlier. Same time, also getting into it is for the right industry and for the right sector of the industry could be a low barrier of entry. So for people who are, in between careers, right, getting into it could be as simple as, making the right connection, right? Low overhead as well. And you're able to really expand, right? So the ingredients that goes into it is dramatically lower compared to, what the outcomes could be, right? So
Good.
it's a low barrier
Yeah.
of entry as well. So it's incredible. It's changed my life. Changed 3 generations of my family tree. So I highly tout the finance industry, and I
I
support
love
those
that. I love that. I love that.
transitions.
It's changing the family generational landscape. I love that. And one of the things you mentioned in that is starting a business with a low entry investment, so to speak. For example, if I wanted to start a fast food restaurant, I would probably need a net worth of about $1 million. I'm in between jobs. What happened then? I'm changing career, or maybe my credit isn't the best, or I just don't want to take that risk. And so to have an opportunity to come into the industry that brings in the most annual income at a low entry is something that I want you guys to consider. And so no, we're not trying to twist your arm to bring you to the
Oh,
side, but we will say it is great over here.
absolutely.
Yeah. So Rob, I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions and then I'm gonna let you get back to your busy day. I really appreciate you taking time to talk with me. So one of the things, it's a little fun question.
Okay.
What is something that you absolutely love to do, like a favorite book? I know you say you like to travel, like where's the destination? Kind of give us an inside look of a young man that is soon to be a husband. What do you do to relax? I mean, it sounds like you work a lot, you work hard. Thank you for your service, but what do you do for fun, Rob?
Man, that's a great question. The first thing first, right? Because I do have a daughter, right? So it's family time, right? Family time is crucial, especially as an entrepreneur. It's a lot of long days, but when I get time to relax and spend time with my family, man, that's my priority, right? So whether that's going out, going to the park, watching TV, watching movies. I do love watching movies, right? For those of you who watch, you know, shows and things like that. There's a show out called Paradise, right? And
Hmm.
it's incredible. It's incredible.
Okay.
Highly recommend it. It's a good twist as well, so it's pretty cool. All right. But yes, I love to go eat. I love trying different foods as
Oh yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm
I
here in
love
New
it.
Orleans, so
Oh
you got to
yeah.
come on with the food. Like, where's
I
the
will see
best
you in a
place to
couple
get food?
weeks.
All
I
right,
will be there in a couple weeks.
so does Louisiana hold the title for best place with the best food, or do we have some competition out there?
So I'll say this. I'm not huge on seafood. However,
Ow!
hear me out, hear me out, right? New Orleans for me is top two. I will say that.
Top
Yeah.
two. Okay, okay.
Because
I'll let you
I'm
have
not
that.
big on seafood, but man, the gumbo and the oysters I've had down there was incredible. Right. But I'm just not a big fan of like crabs and stuff like that. But it's definitely up there. Just the other flavors, it's incredible. I will say that.
You just lost two cool points with me, but I'm gonna let you make it. I'm gonna let you make it. Of course, I'm a
Please.
Louisiana native, so born
Absolutely.
and raised in New Orleans. So of course, I'm gonna say number one is seafood would be here. Um, so one thing before I let you go, last question, or last thought, what is exactly financial literacy versus financial illiteracy? And we'll kind of close on that note because I know that you're in the financial industry that is very lucrative. This industry has afforded luxuries to so many, but here in your company, it's more about the education. It's more about changing the landscape for other families, not just yours. So for those that may not be familiar or even be aware that they are financial illiterate, could you kind of give us a snippet of what is literacy and illiteracy when it comes to financial education?
Perfect. So this, mind you, the words I'm going to say, this is my definition. This is how I see it, right? So financial literacy, um, for me, is I think about the first thing I think about is synonyms, right? Think about power and freedom, right? Because when you think about it, understanding how money works and understanding your money, it elevates you, right? So think about it like this. Imagine if you made $100,000, but you didn't understand either A, how your money was being spent, how the companies that you deal with, whether your bank, how they treat you, right? Based upon,
Mm,
your rates, your APRs and things like that. And you don't understand as far as how to plan. Well, you think you're doing well, right? And you are by most people's standards. You are. I mean, I don't want to discredit that. But at the same time, if that's you being financially illiterate, right? So with you being literate, right, that's how you get that freedom, that power, the respect of how companies treat you, right? Because how I see it as you're doing well here, well, just imagine if you're literate. You would be way, 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 way better, right? You'd be light years ahead. You'd have that literacy also, it allows you to have allows you to be able to set goals, to set a path and really chart the direction of your life, right? When you're financially illiterate, right, you spend more time in your life reacting to how things happen versus directing things to happen, right? So it's just mainly the control and the power aspect of it that allows you to, when you understand finances, you can understand life a lot better, truthfully. And it just allows you to do so. So
so basically, you got to know the rules to the game,
you gotta
people.
know the rules of the game.
You got to know the rules to the game. I've said that so many times, and it may be cliche, but it is so true. No matter what you have, if you don't know how it properly works, you could potentially destroy it, lose it, mess it up. It would just not be what you had intended for it to be. And so I definitely want to thank my guest on today, Rob Jackson, U.S. Navy veteran, for taking time out of his busy schedule. And so if you're wondering, hey, how can I get connected with Rob? How can I learn more about the financial education thing? What about a business opportunity? Linking up with Rob or his fellow business partners in this financial industry, you want to text the word money to 985-377-9212, and we will send you a link to a free virtual workshop that we partner with twice a month. And so send that text to us, and we will get you the free. Did I say free? Yeah, free registration link.
Free.
And free. Don't cost you anything, nothing to buy. Leave your pocketbook at home. Come get the financial education. Come get the rules to the game. Come get an understanding. Become financially literate by hanging out with Rob and I and our fellow business partners. So, Rob, once again, I want to say thank you to you for your service. Thank you for taking the time to be with me on today. And as well, thank you for continuing to get out there one person at a time, one family at a time, one community at a time, educating people on how their money works. Thank you so much, Rob.
Andy, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. I definitely look forward to coming back again. This is awesome.
Thank you.